Ladies and gentlemen, can you hear me? I think that'll work. I am delighted to be here on this very important day with this very impressive crowd. This large and diverse crowd has come together to show their support on this very important day for the state of Arkansas. As we gather here today, I am proud to say that a model first offense animal cruelty bill with a strong coalition of broad support, Senate Bill 77, was filed this morning. About a year ago, the Attorney General's office began working with a broad coalition of divergent interests to construct a bill to modernize Arkansas's animal cruelty code. 2 years ago, I watched as Senator Sue Madison and Representative Pam Adcock admirably attempted to pass an animal cruelty bill. I also watched as some members of the state's agricultural community felt obligated to oppose it. They opposed it not necessarily because they opposed animal cruelty legislation, but because they were concerned with the specific components of one specific bill. I agreed with what Sue and Pam sought to accomplish, and I also understood the agricultural community's concerns. In any issue where strong emotions are involved, building a consensus can be difficult. Certainly, that's fair to say in this issue. I believe it's reasonable for those who rescue brutally tortured animals, like Kay Jordan, to have strong feelings about punishing offenders and preventing further atrocities. I also believe that it's reasonable for those who make a living in the Arkansas agricultural industry, like my friend Dennis Ritchie from Howard County, to be fearful of any legislation that may impact his livelihood. Over the course of the last year, we engaged in a very successful effort to work together to create an animal cruelty bill that everyone can support, a bill that's been described as one of the strongest of its kind in the southeastern United States, a bill that is supported by both the Arkansas Farm Bureau and the Humane Society of the United States, a bill that has 58 co-sponsors, including a majority of the members of both the House and Senate Judiciary Committees. Yes. In the process of negotiating this bill, no one had to give up their core values, but everyone had to compromise. I want to recognize and thank so many of those who put in long hours and participated in sometimes tense and frank discussions and meetings to help construct our final product. What I asked of this coalition was simple. I asked them not to just tell me what they don't like about any provision of any given draft of this bill, but to offer alternatives, new suggestions, new ideas, and to keep working. It's easy to say, I don't like something, but it's much harder to come up with the raw material that builds common ground. Most were asked to step outside of their comfort zones and trust a process and the goodwill of other people. Had they not been willing to do that, we would surely and certainly have failed. So I want to thank some of the people who have invested their time and talent and trust to make this possible. Of course, I want to thank and congratulate our lead sponsors, Senator Sue Madison and Representative Pam Adcock. I want to thank Senators Jim Luker, Marianne Salmon, and David Johnson. And I want to thank Representatives Kathy Webb and Rick Saunders, and so many more. I also cannot say enough about the patience and dedication of a number of people. And I may leave a couple out, but it's important to recognize Rodney Baker of the Arkansas Farm Bureau, Kay Jordan of the Pulaski County Humane Society, Desiree Bender and Dale Bartlett of the Humane Society of the United States, Marvin Childers of the Arkansas Poultry Federation, Mac Hayden and Earl Pepper, Cowboys Extraordinaire, Jim Brunson with the Rescue Wranglers, Tracy Roark with the Little Rock Animal Services, attorney and equestrian Cheryl Barnard. I want to also specifically recognize two key members of my staff at the Attorney General's office. They somehow managed to provide the legal expertise, political wisdom, and incredible patience to make this possible. Without the unbelievable loyalty and hard work of my wartime consiglieres, Brad Phelps and Alan Gordon, this effort would have been over before it began. These two are the best of the best. It's an understatement to say that I'm lucky beyond words to have you on my team, and I'm grateful. Ladies and gentlemen, I anticipate swift passage of this legislation. Although no bill is perfect, this one accomplishes all of our goals and should be something that this legislature should be proud to pass in the early days of this session. This bill creates the felony offense of aggravated animal cruelty, a first offense felony to punish the sick and depraved acts that are too often inflicted on defenseless animals in Arkansas. We all agree that anyone who tortures animals for their own sick gratification should be punished and is a threat to society as a whole. This bill also, for the first time ever, provides for the increased staggered penalties for subsequent misdemeanor offenses, so that repeat offenders know that we mean business. This bill recognizes the strong relationship between animal cruelty and other crimes, including spousal and child abuse. That's why we've included a sentence enhancement that will protect our children. Anyone who tortures an animal in the presence of a child will face an additional automatic 5-year in prison. Since the beginning of this process, I have believed that there were two essential criteria necessary for this bill's passage. Specifically, we must have both clear definitions and clear exemptions. Every bit as important as what this bill does is what this bill does not do. This bill does not criminalize generally accepted agricultural practices. It does not criminalize hunting. It protects the rights of landowners and farmers, and it does not create an undue risk of unintended consequences. This bill reflects our consistent policy that arrests for violation of our criminal laws can be made only by certified law enforcement officials. But it also makes clear that the men and women on the front lines, dedicated to saving animals, can still do their jobs in cooperation with law enforcement agencies across Arkansas. And yes, this bill makes cockfighting a felony. Now, I know some of the members of the General Assembly are getting emails from cockfighters who oppose the bill. So I have a little news for you and a little news for them. Cockfighting is already a crime under state and federal law. They might as well confess to you to being marijuana farmers in their emails. So when they email you looking for you to help them in their cruel, criminal, gambling-based blood sport, just refer them to me. We'll see what we can do about putting an exhibit sticker on their emails at trial. This bill brings with it a lot of support, as you see here today. In no particular order, and with the great hope of not leaving anyone out,